JB Good. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching another video. Today's video is going to be 10 things I wish I knew before I said I do. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The first thing I want to say, this is not something that I wish I knew before I said I do, but it's advice that I would give anybody who's looking to get married. Number one, put God first. No matter where you find yourself in your relationship, you should put God first. And the reason why I say that is because He's the one who brought the two of you together. He is over your marriage. He is the one that you pray to when you're not getting along with your spouse. He is the one who's going to give you the answers to the questions that you might have. He's omnipresent. He knows all. So definitely put him first. You guys know that I am a Christian. I am a believer. So that is my recommendation as a Christian and as a believer, that you put God first. And when you put God first, He'll take care of all of the rest. If you don't believe in God, then whatever your higher being or your higher power that you believe in is, all power to you with that. But as for me and my household, we put God first. So definitely put God first. Number two, very important, and this is in no particular order. This is just how it came to me. Number two, communication is so important. I did not know how important communication was in my relationship with my husband, and I wish that it was something that when we first started as a married couple, husband and wife, I wish that it was something that I paid a lot more attention to. There were things that I wouldn't say to him that I expected him to know, and when he would do it incorrectly, then I would get mad at him, not realizing that I never communicated, these are the things that I want. One little thing that is so silly that I'll share with you guys as it relates to communication is I love ice cream. When I was pregnant with my son, I would always ask my husband to go and get me some ice cream, like a hot fudge sundae at Carvel. Their hot fudge sundae is so good. But anyways, I would tell him to go and get that. He would go and get it. He would bring it back home, and it wouldn't have the different things that I like in the sundae. So I would always get mad at him because I expected him to know, we've been to the ice cream parlor together before. I like certain things in my ice cream. So I would get upset with him, but I never communicated to him that these are the things that I like. Once I began communicating how I like my ice cream, something so simple, and now he knows my order to a T. So that's just like a lighthearted thing as it relates to communication, but communication is so important in your relationship. If you guys cannot sit down and talk with one another, if you cannot express yourself to your spouse, if he cannot express himself to you, vice versa, then it's really no point in you guys being married. So I would definitely say communicate. There are things that you don't like, you should address it. If there are things that he doesn't like, he should address it with you as well. It's so important. Number three, date your spouse. As you guys have seen from my previous video, my husband and I just recently went out on a date. And when I tell you that it makes your relationship so beautiful and almost as if you guys first got together again, like almost as if you guys first started dating again, it is like the best experience in the world. I definitely recommend either weekly if you can afford it, and it's not even about affordability, we'll talk about that later on, but I would definitely recommend either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Definitely take the time out to date your spouse, to go out with your spouse, to get away from the everyday, what word am I looking for, challenges of life, like bills and children and different things that you're involved in. You need to really take that time to invest in your marriage, because the more you invest in your marriage, the better off your relationship is going to be. So for me and my husband, definitely dating is something that we have discovered. We have not always dated since we've been married, but it's definitely something that we discovered is something that we need to do more of. So definitely I would recommend dating your spouse. It makes a world of difference in your relationship. And you have to understand, like, when you're just boyfriend and girlfriend, you're already dating, you're going out, you're enjoying each other's company. And that's kind of a part of the glue that put you guys together. So when you find yourself dating your spouse, it's like the same thing when you guys first started. Like, that's what's going to help you guys grow and learn each other, because believe it or not, you guys do change. And that should really be a part of my list too, the fact that you're not going to be the same person you were when you first started dating your spouse. So I definitely say date your spouse, get to know each other, have that romantic time with one another, because it's necessary and it makes a difference in your relationship. Number 4, this is something that my pastor, we at our church have something called Marriage Works Ministry. And basically the married couples in our church come together and we fellowship with one another. And one of the lessons that he was talking about was not fighting in your bedroom. Now, I was blown away by him saying that, because I never really thought about it. Like, what do you mean don't fight in your bedroom? Wherever the fight is going to happen, it's going to happen. But what he meant by that is your bedroom is a place of love. There's some love making that goes on in your bedroom. There's some intimate moments, watching movies together, talking to one another, lovey-dovey stuff that you do in the bedroom. And that is that sacred place in your house where those things happen. So when you fight, you're kind of setting the atmosphere to be hostile and volatile. You don't want that in your relationship. You don't want that in your marriage. Your bedroom should be a place where you two come together and it's always about love. It's always about oneness. It's always about being on one accord. So I would definitely say don't fight in your bedroom. If you're going to fight, or if you feel like you're getting angry, and my husband and I have done this before, step outside the bedroom, fight in the hallway, fight in the bathroom, fight in the kitchen, but not in the place that you guys are intimate in, and that would be the bedroom. Don't fight in your bedroom, guys. Because again, you're changing the atmosphere and the dynamics in that room. Number 5, compromise. Compromise is even hard for me to say. When I first married my husband, compromise is not a part of my vocabulary at all. I just thought I should get whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. And I really now we got married when I was 24 and he was 26. So I really was still a little bit immature, and having lived without, living with him and coming from where I grew up, the home that I grew up in basically, and moving in with him, and basically at home being well taken care of, to moving in where I had to learn how to be a team player, if you will, when it came down to finances and how to run a house. I definitely will say that I was selfish. Like, I was used to my check just being for me and going out and doing what I wanted to do without realizing or having the full understanding that we're now under one roof, and what I make, I have to contribute to our household expenses, vice versa. He initially was taking over, the finances, until he actually sat me down and was like, no, we both have to do this together. So for me, that was a big compromise, because again, I was used to having my own money. Marriage, I did not realize, is such a selfless act. There are times that I will make sure my husband is good before I even think about myself. And if you're a good wife, you will naturally roll into, come into that role where, as women, we're nurturers, and we more so care about the well-being of those around us, that we forget about ourselves. And that's another video for another day. But in marriage, it's definitely a selfless act. It's not just about you, it's about that person. So that's definitely one of the things I had to learn being married to my husband. Number 6, your friends will change. When me and my husband first got married, we obviously had friends that were dating or single friends, and I can tell you, after being married almost 7 years, those same people that we were friends with are not the same people, for the most part, that we're friends with today, with the exception of a couple of people. Your friends are going to change when you're married and you're, experiencing this bliss between you and your spouse. You want to surround yourself around people who are going down the same path as you. Like, what does it look like me going to a club with my single friends trying to get a man when I got a man at home? It just doesn't make sense. So it's not an intentional thing that happens, but it is something that happens where you will find that your friends change and you more so gravitate towards married people. I do want to add a B or an A to number 6. Find yourself with people who are where you want to be. One of the things my husband and I did when we did get married is we prayed to be around married couples. We had no friends that were married and we were just kind of winging it. But I think the best thing about being married, especially early on for us, is that we did have that prayer like, Lord, please let us find people who are married and have gone through some things that we know we're more than likely going to go through. And God definitely answered our prayer. We have at least 2 really good friends that are both of them are couples, and we get along with everybody. We're comfortable with everybody. And it's great to know that I can call my girlfriend on the phone and be like, listen, this is what I'm going through. And she can give me sound wisdom and sound advice as to how to deal with it. Why? Because she's been there. They've been married longer than we have. They kind of know a little bit more about marriage than I do. And it's just awesome to be able to have those people in your life that you can go to and ask for guidance and direction. Number 7, make sure you're in it for the right reasons. People get married for all different types of reasons. My husband and I think we'll both agree that we got married for love. We love each other. There was no baby on the way. There was no any type of situation aside from the fact that we loved each other that drew us to one another, and ultimately allowed my husband to ask me the question and me say yes to marrying him. I see so many times that people get married because they have kids or they have a kid and they just want that perfect family. If you're getting married just because you have a kid, then you're in it for the wrong reason. You want to marry your spouse because you love your spouse and you feel like this is the person that God has put in my life and this is the person that I ultimately want to spend the rest of my life with. If that's not the reason why you're marrying the person that you're with, then you probably shouldn't be marrying them. So make sure that you're in it for the right reasons. Number 8, finances matter. You need to know what role you're going to play on a financial basis. And I said that earlier, kind of touched upon it earlier when me and my husband first got married. I was not, or we first moved in rather, I was not contributing to the household expenses. I relied on him to do that because I was being selfish and just wanted to keep my check for myself. But I really wish that I really wish going into our relationship, into our marriage, that we defined our roles and figured out early on how we're going to financially support ourselves and what he was going to take care of and what I was going to take care of. Because when we got married, our finances was all over the place because we really didn't have a plan. And I'm going to be honest, this is it's been about a good year and a half. We're 6 years in that we've really been clear on how we're spending our money and who's taking care of what. 6 years in, but we're there. So I would say definitely make sure you know what roles you're going to play because it could cause a lot of problems. One of the number 1 reasons for divorce is finances. So that's definitely something that you want to talk with your spouse about and make sure that you guys are both on the same page about. Number 9, this quote I love. This quote I got from T.D. Jakes. I will not take credit for it at all. This quote simply says, "You will always be a student of the person you love." What that means to me is that you're always constantly going to be learning this person. Don't ever feel like in your relationship you have this person 100% figured out, because you don't. My husband changed a lot. He's not the same Xavier that I... Sorry about that, you guys. My camera died on me. But what I was basically saying is that you're always going to be a student of the person you love. My husband is not the same man that I married back in 2011, and I'm not the same woman that he married back in 2011. We have changed, we have grown, and we have evolved. There are things that I used to like that I don't like anymore, vice versa. So change is not a bad thing. Change is a good thing. You should embrace change. Change is an important part of life. So you definitely need to know that you're always going to be learning that person. You're never going to master them. You're never going to have them 100% figured out. Yes, I can tell you, with my husband like this? No, probably not. With my husband like that? Maybe so. I can tell you some things, but I can't tell you everything, because he's a human being who's constantly evolving and constantly changing, and his viewpoints on things based upon a book that he reads or something that he hears could be totally different today than what it was yesterday, as is the case for me. So you're always going to be a student of the person you love. When I first married him, I never ever thought about that. I mean, I just realized that about a year ago when I listened to T.D. Jakes and he said that. And it just blew me away, because it's not something that you think about, but it's something that happens. And one thing that I can say that I give myself a gold star for is the fact that as he's changed, I've grown with him. Like, as he's evolved, I've evolved as well. It wasn't just him changing and me expecting to be with the same person that I married when we first got married. I was open to the fact that he changed. I adjusted to the changes that he made. And that's one of the reasons why we're still together. And that's a problem in some relationships, is that you grow apart. And thankfully, we have managed to grow together. So just know that you're always going to be a student of the person you love. You're always constantly going to be learning them, and they're always going to be learning you. Number 10, I would say, is how hard marriage really is. When me and my husband first got married, I did not realize how hard married life was. I grew up in a 2-parent household for most of, as I was growing up until about 15, I grew up in a 2-parent household with 2 people that I saw on a daily basis that never argued, never showed any disagreement, never showed that they were on 2 separate wavelengths. My father loved my mother loved my father. It was clear and evident to anybody that would see them together. You knew that these 2 people loved each other. So naturally, when I married my husband, I kind of had that fairy tale of us being that couple. What I had to remind myself, or what I had to learn the hard way, is he is not Robert, and I am not that Alice. I am not Alice. I am who I am, and my husband is who he is. Our experiences in life are different, and, it's not going to always be cupcakes. I don't think it was always cupcakes for my parents. I just think that they found what worked best for them, and they were able to have a happy marriage. And I think being married for almost 7 years, I can definitely say that I'm learning what works best for us. And so far, we've been doing really well. So for anybody, I always hear young girls say, oh, I can't wait to get married. And I think you get caught up in the idea of having somebody with you. Just because you have somebody with you, or, that person, quote unquote, belongs to you, if that's how you feel. I don't look at it like that. But if that's how you feel, that doesn't really mean anything. Marriage is a sacrifice. Marriage is having patience. Marriage is adjustments that need to be made in marriages. Marriage is being vulnerable. Marriage is hard. It's one of the hardest jobs, being a wife, that I've ever had to do, aside from being a mother. It takes, there's some days I don't want to deal with my husband. There's some days he don't want to deal with me. There's some days where I question, like, what the heck am I doing? As I'm sure he does as well. But we make it work, because the foundation of our relationship was built on love. And if your foundation is solid, then it's easier, but it's not easy, if you know what I mean. So it's a lot of hard work. And like I said, I had a misunderstanding or misinterpretation based upon my parents and other happy couples that I was around and saw, until I actually got into it myself. So you just got to work at marriage. Marriage is just like life. Every day you're working to get better, learning new skills to help yourself and help your relationship. That's what I would say about marriage. I think I said it before, like a lot of young girls get caught up in being with someone. I was actually listening to a song by Demi Lovato, and she was saying, a lot of people, my thoughts are all over right now, so excuse me, a lot of people think that their identity is based upon them being with someone. And I was listening to a song from Demi Lovato, and one of the lyrics in the song is, "You ain't nobody until you have somebody." And it crushed me to hear her sing those lyrics, because there are so many young people who think that they need somebody to be somebody. And I think there's a lot of young girls that I see on Facebook and Instagram and just in general that feel like they have to, I want to get married. I want to get married. Like, you don't realize marriage is not what you think it is. And even if you think that you know what it is, you don't know what it is until you're actually in it. And just to say that you're nobody because you don't have anybody is such a negative message to put out there. I would definitely say, if you're dating and you're eager to get married, learn to love yourself, learn to figure yourself out before you enter a relationship. Because then you're in a predicament, in a situation where you're learning yourself while trying to be with this person, but you don't know who you are. You're learning, you're trying to get an understanding of who you are, and at the same time trying to get an understanding of who this person is. Know yourself, know what you're worth, know what you like, know what you love, and I promise you, when you know those things, it makes being in a relationship with someone so much easier, because you're going to know things that you're not going to tolerate, things that you're not going to deal with, and you're going to be sure of who you are. So I definitely, that would be advice for people who are considering marriage or dating or single or whatever. Just get to know you and enjoy you, okay? Because when you're married, you kind of, as my relationship is structured, my husband and I, we don't answer to one another. Like, he needs to know where I'm at. But there's, I guess, a responsibility that he feels to know that I'm okay, as there's a responsibility for me to know that he's okay. So he's going to check on me and say, you okay? How you doing? And stuff like that. And when you're single, you don't have to deal with that. You don't necessarily have to be responsible for anybody other than yourself. When you're married, it's a whole nother thing. Like, you have to care and be concerned about this person. And so I would definitely say enjoy being single. I can tell you that I don't think there's one married person you'll come across who wouldn't say that, wouldn't give that advice. Just to enjoy the process of being single, of figuring out who you are and loving who you are. Those are my 10 things I wish I knew before I said I do. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Give me some feedback on how you guys feel like this video helped you. My prayer is with this YouTube channel that what I say and what I do helps and it influences someone in a positive way. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.